thrill me.
This show is part of the Thrill Me Podcast Network. Experience more on Facebook and YouTube.
It's Review It Man, reviewing what he can. Movies are his jam, so let's get twisted, man. It's Review It Rob. Hey yo, and welcome to a brand new episode of the Review It Rob Show. I am your host, Review It Rob, coming at you with all the goodies, man. This show is the one-stop shop for DC and horror news, as well as all other kind of goodies gravitating around the world. I guess, who knows? But I appreciate you joining in on the fun here, man. Hope everybody out there is doing great. I'm doing all right myself, man. Had a weekend full of wrestling, professional wrestling. I was watching Peacock, or all the WWE Network stuff here is in the Americas. In America. What a start to the show. But yeah, I've been watching that. I've been watching just like a nerd, man. I collected all the info of what shows are on here and then put them in order and then put them on an Excel spreadsheet. Freaking filtered them or sorted them in order, and now I'm just watching them because I'm a wrestling nerd like that. But did that mostly. Watched In Search of Darkness, starting to watch that again. I absolutely love that, man. I don't know if there's a better time in history other than the 80s. There probably is. I'm not a historian or anything like that. But, man, the 80s was so freaking rad, dude. Like, love the music, especially the 80s hair metal. Love it to death. Listen to it all the time. Listen, speaking of, Motley Crue was at the NFL draft, played an awesome performance, man. If you can check that out, check it out wherever you can. Love Motley Crue. It's my all-time favorite band. Watched the NFL draft, did a video with my brother, Tombstone Josh. We kicked out the jam, did some live reactions there that you can see on the Thrill Me Podcast Network's YouTube page. While we're talking about that, man, please go over there, hit the like, subscribe, and share. We got all kinds of goodies going on over there, from my show to the before mentioned brother Tombstone Josh's show, the Metal Groove podcast. We got the Slasher Reports. We got Haunter's podcast kicking out the jams again because haunt season's firing up. We've got all kinds of goodies over there, man. So come over there, check that out, hit that like, subscribe, share with all your friends, leave some comments, leave some rates. We appreciate all of it. And then, yeah, In Search of Darkness, 80s horror, and just the way 80s horror looked awesome. And freaking the posters and the movie art was like actual movie art instead of pictures. Man, it was so cool. But that's basically what I've been up to. And that's the long story of me saying I don't have a film to review this week. I didn't get around to watching an actual movie, man. I actually spent some time on myself, just relaxing, chilling, and watching, wrestling. And, working on a new show for our Patreon. Thrill Me Podcast Network does have a Patreon. If you feel so inclined to join over there, we have some fun goodies going over there, including watch-alongs. That's right, you get to join the group here and watch a film with us via the interwebs. Always a good time. Always a good time doing those watch-alongs, man. We don't do them enough. I want to do more, but we do them, and they're always a good time when we do that, man. So that's the Thrill Me Podcast Network's Patreon. If you want to check that stuff out, we got good stuff going on there. Like I mentioned, I am working on a show to debut this month on the Patreon, man. But no longer holding off. Let's go ahead and jump right into the news. Going to kick it off with DC news because DC was the big thing that happened over there at CinemaCon. CinemaCon, the film event that took place since the last time we talked. I think it took place a couple days after my last episode last week. The big news there was, of course, The Flash finally getting a screening. The Ezra Miller-led film that is bringing back major DC characters like Michael Keaton's Batman as well. We're getting introduced to Sasha Calle's Supergirl. We've got Ben Affleck's Batman in the film, as well as many other goodies that some people are trying to spoil all over the internet. But you gotta stay away from those things, man. It's tough, I understand, but thankfully I've avoided most of them and will continue to do what I can to avoid those. But yes, the screening for The Flash took place, and the ongoing support for the film is continuing as that movie is continuing to get rave reviews, saying it is one of, if not the greatest comic book film of all time. A lot of high praise, man. But I am so excited for this for multiple reasons. One, DC guy. Obviously, I do DC news every single episode of my show. My favorite superhero is The Flash. Absolutely love The Flash. That's my favorite superhero. I love Batman. Batman's one of my favorite heroes. I don't consider Batman a superhero. with the Flash and Batman in a film together. So awesome. And the storyline looks like it's focusing around aspects of the Flashpoint storyline, which is an amazing story. So can't wait to see that played out in the big screen. The movie has a budget less than Black Adam, so we're trying to all figure out why Black Adam had such a high budget. Probably The Rock's pay, I guess. But all these visual effects are going to go into this movie, and it's like still had less of a budget than Black Adam. Um, but yeah, everything is seeming to go very well with that film. No apologies whatsoever. I am an Ezra Miller fan. I like Ezra. I think Ezra's a fantastic actor, um, a performer, and all that. It is sad the things that Ezra's gone through mental health and using alcohol as a crutch to the mental health led to some issues with violence. Unfortunately, didn't attack necessarily anybody as they're putting out there, but did throw some items around, breaking, entering, all things that Ezra has paid for and is seeking help for, which is the main important thing, is seeking help for your mental health. And all things coming out of that film, of course, people are asking about Ezra and talking about Ezra and everything going on around there. James Gunn was asked about Ezra Miller recently at the Guardians of the Galaxy premiere, which that movie releases later this week. Um, and he said we'll have to see what happens there. Andy Muschietti, who is the director of The Flash, had some things to say as well. Just a little bit more on the film. It is, again, receiving rave reviews and highly possible to be one of the biggest films of the year. Without a doubt, I think Guardians and The Flash are going to be the two biggest superhero comic booky films that released this year, which is good. There's been a little bit of a superhero fatigue that's been going on, kind of like Star Wars hit a couple of years ago. There's been a superhero fatigue going on with some people, and hit, you know, a lot of misses it seems lately. Depending on how you feel, of course, a lot of people have not really enjoyed the Marvel stuff lately. People did not enjoy the Shazam film that came out this year, which I still don't understand, but that's neither here nor there, man. So when it comes to Ezra and, like I said, Andy Muschietti talking about all that, I had a lot to say about Ezra. First, we'll talk about sequel talk possibilities for the Flash film. I mean, again, the rave reviews this movie is getting, and the possibility of it being a huge film. There's, of course, talks of sequels, and Andy Muschietti said that discussions on a potential sequel are on hold as they are waiting to see how the Flash does. But in the midst of everything, the good thing about the multiverse is that it is possible, so hopefully, yes. I mean, we don't know yet, but that's the truth. Right, and we don't fully know, right? We don't know anything that's going on right now with the DC universe other than what James Gunn has announced so far from Chapter 1. And we don't know what the Flash film has to do with any of that. We'll find out soon enough in June when the movie comes out, and we'll have credit scenes and all this stuff to see how it connects, because that is the stupid thing going around the internet, is that this stuff doesn't connect. If you watch the movie, you would know. Going back to Shazam there, you would know. So gotta watch stuff instead of just judging it. But we'll see how things pan out there. Now on the Ezra front, Ezra has been very cooperative, apologetic for their actions, excuse me, um, and all that. Again, the thing with Ezra for me, and let me make this very clear and honest, I have no problem still being a fan of Ezra, because I don't believe any of the allegations of trigger words coming. I don't believe the grooming allegations, the kidnapping allegations, the assault, stuff like that. I don't believe it, because there's no charges ever filed. It was just, somebody said it was happening, and then guess what? It was proven wrong. People seem to not want to believe that. It's your own choice, but facts are facts, and that was never proven to be correct. The only thing proven with Ezra was the breaking entering, which Ezra has paid for and dealt with already, and that should be it. That should be that. And again, if any of that stuff was true, I would not support Ezra, obviously, no matter how talented the performer is. But it's nothing proven whatsoever. So I have no problem sitting here being an Ezra Miller fan and hoping for more Ezra Miller stuff, because Ezra is a fantastic performer, without a doubt. And mental health is nothing to joke about. Nothing is not a tool to be used as a weapon to attack somebody. So the main thing is Ezra's seeking treatment and help. And Andy talked about Ezra, of course, during the film, because Ezra is the star of the film. He said it was probably one of the best experiences working with an actor ever. They're brilliant. Their contributions are constant, and also they like to do more takes than I do, which is a lot. They are full of incredible emotions and they bring them to the set every time. They are an incredible comedian also, which is something that I wasn't fully prepared for. I mean, I saw them in movies before. I thought they were funny, but when I started working with them, I realized that they are an incredible comedian, which is true. Ezra is pretty damn funny. Yeah, that thing circulates every now and then of him and Zack Snyder on set, and Zack's giving him some references, and then Zack smacks his hand, and then Ezra playfully smacks Zack's hand back and forth. Pretty funny. But Ezra, I mean, it's hilarious if you've seen him in other stuff. He also continues saying the fact that they were playing two versions of the same character, two versions that are diametrically opposed. The Barry we all know that is neurotic, anxious, full of hardships, childhood trauma, and whatnot, and the Barry that is basically none of that, and he's absolutely carefree. It was a very fun challenge to explore with those two characters for them. For Ezra, for me, it was a lot of fun. Going on to how Ezra's doing, says that Ezra is well now. We're all hoping that they get better. They're taking steps to recovery. They're dealing with mental health issues, but they're well. We talked to them not too long ago, and they're very committed to getting better. Which again is the main important thing here: is that Ezra's mental health is addressed and taken care of. There's too many people we've lost due to mental health issues, and I implore you to please stop attacking people who have mental health issues. And I implore you to do more research because, again, no excuse. I'm not going to excuse the actions. Ezra, got drunk and, threw some things at a bar and, broke into a house. Like that's not okay, and Ezra's paid for that. But the horrible allegations that have proven to be absolutely nothing, it's time to stop with all that. It's already proven to have been absolutely nothing, so the fact that you're still continuing on with it is insane to me. And it's so insane to me how some celebrities just get the lead win. I mean, Ezra, again, they go by they/them, so that's going to get obvious hate right there. Ezra is flamboyant in the way they dress, so that's going to get hate as well. So I see why Ezra's getting the hate as opposed to so many other celebrities are getting the hate for much worse allegations. I'm not going to jump into that because I don't want to bring any other people into it, but there are celebrities who have done much worse than Ezra Miller has, and they aren't just allegations, they are full on fact. So, again, please take the time to study, is all I ask. But yes, the Flash film looks like it's going to be amazing, and fingers crossed for more. Let's see, now moving on to Superman, the Superman Legacy film. James Gunn said the next Superman has to be someone who has all the humanity that Superman has, but he is also an alien, of course. It's got to be somebody who has the kindness and compassion that Superman has, and be somebody you want to give a big hug. Which, yeah, I mean, Superman's supposed to be the all good superhero, right? It's the first ever superhero. So he's supposed to be a hero you can believe in and trust in, and you want to feel comfortable around, and have all that full faith and belief in. Now, of course, at the Guardians premiere, he was asked about Chris Pratt playing the character, and James Gunn said it's not Chris Pratt. If he was a few years younger, maybe. Yeah, it's not going to be Chris Pratt. Chris Pratt will probably play somebody else in the DCU. I'm sure a lot of these Guardians actors will be coming to the DC universe if possible, and if they want to, and if James wants to continue to work with him, which I have no problem with. I mean, that's gone on in Hollywood for years. People working with the same people because it just makes it easier. Like when you know the actors and actresses that you're working with already based on previous work, you know that you can trust them to handle the content that you're working on. So I've never had a problem with that by any means. I mean, Adam Sandler does it, Rob Zombie does it. I mean, you can go back in time. I mean, freaking the Rat Pack and all that, and you had the Rat Pack, the Brat Pack, all that stuff, man. It's not a new concept by any means. So yeah, some of them will be coming over, including I'm gonna mess her name up, Palm Kamentif, who plays Mantis in the Guardians films. She's fantastic as Mantis. Um, she is talking about crossing over to DC, saying we've had conversations and we're making plans already, but nothing is confirmed yet. She has her eyes set on a character that she said she can't reveal who it is, just that she's always thought the character was fucking cool. End quote. Yeah, more power. I mean, again, she is awesome as Mantis. I don't know what character she's talking about, but yes, come on. Absolutely. Let's go. And Karen Gillian said that she would love to play Poison Ivy, which more power to her. I'm into it. Karen Gillian's awesome as well. So we'll see, man. Exciting times. I saw somebody bring up something about James Gunn as well with him casting um, his wife, his now wife, and everything. And people are like, why are so many people mad about him casting his wife and everything when Sean Gunn's been in just about every James Gunn project, which is true, and we all know why. They hate women. That's the long end story of it, right there. Because again, Sean Gunn's been in pretty much every James Gunn thing, and they don't say anything about that, do they? But I digress. Speaking of James Gunn stuff, Peacemaker. He was asked about Vigilante, if we'll see the character Vigilante, who was in Peacemaker, the supporting character. Um, and James Gunn replied with a yes. So, of course, I think anything Peacemaker is still going to be part of the DCU. Again, watch Shazam. But yeah, Peacemaker's fine. Peacemaker's still going to have a season 2. Waller's still going to happen. Anything that James Gunn's been attached to before, I think is a very safe bet that'll be a part of the DCU going forward. Now, not part of the DCU, but part of the Elseworlds, it seems, is the Superman project from J.J. Abrams and Tanashi Coates. Remember, there was a story a while back that they were going to be doing a film with a quote black Superman in the role, which is fine. Don't hate it for that. It's perfectly fine if that happens. Michael B. Jordan's been rumored around this as well. Gunn said that those two things are not totally related because people were wondering, well, has that been canceled since Superman Legacy is happening? He's saying those two things are not totally related. That's an exciting movie. I know Chantel Nong, who is the executive on that project, is extremely excited about it. So if it comes in and it's great, which I haven't read the script, and if the timing is right, that could actually happen. But they are totally unrelated. It would be an Elseworlds tale like Joker, end quote. And you're like, oh, you can't have two Superman films at the same time. We're about to have two Batman stuff out at the same time. Batman the Brave and the Bold is coming for the DCU, and the Batman trilogy will still be going. We have the sequel on the way, and there's another film planned as well. I'm sure it's a planned trilogy, but they might do more. Who knows? But I mean, it's fine. They're not related. I don't understand this concept of people not, being able to differentiate. Everything does not have to be connected. Like I promise you, nothing about films means that every single movie has to be connected. It's okay if they're not. And you can have these Elseworld storylines, which is awesome. I enjoyed that Joker film, and I'm very excited for the next Joker movie. And God, I love that Batman movie. It's my favorite Batman movie, which I never thought that would happen. I thought it would always be the Dark Knight, but yeah, the first time I saw that Batman movie, I'm like, this is the Batman I've always wanted. And that's nothing against the Dark Knight. The Dark Knight's still an incredible, incredible thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's all right. The Elseworld stuff in the DCU, I think it's a great idea actually because you can do more stories. Freaking love it. That's all the DC stuff I got for you. And we're now going to jump into the horror realm with some more CinemaCon talk. With starting things off with The Exorcist, which has a full name now, Exorcist Believer. Jason Blum, of course, David Gordon Green revealed the first trailer for The Exorcist Believer. This is the first of 3 in the Exorcist films that are coming from Blumhouse and David Gordon Green, much like Halloween. The trailer is not released to the wide public yet. I don't know when that'll debut, but the film is set to hit theaters and then Peacock this year in October. It is scheduled for October 13th, it seems, but the trailer at CinemaCon only said October. So maybe they'll be shifting that around a little bit. But it has apparently scared a lot of people. The trailer scared a ton of people at CinemaCon. Some people saying scared them shitless. So, freakiest trailer they watched, creepiest trailer they watched, all that stuff. So The Exorcist has got its scariness again. Remember when the old Exorcist came out? It was one of the scariest films that ever happened. People were fainting in theaters and throwing up. Man, what a time that could have been! Like, can you only imagine at that time when horror films weren't as regular as they are now, and they like legitimately scared the hell out of people like that? Can only imagine, man. Can only imagine a time like that. I love the horror genre, though. Obviously, I have a whole section of my show dedicated to horror news, but I'm excited, man. I want to see how this goes. I know the Halloween trilogy that recently happened started off very well for a lot of people with the 2018 film, and then a lot of hate for kills and ends after that, um, which is probably going to put a bad taste in some people's mouth going into this movie because this is basically following the same formula. This is a sequel set after the events of the first film, many, many, many years later. Uh, so we'll have to see how it turns out. But I've recently gotten more interested in the Exorcist films, and I'm really hoping they bring the house back to Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando. I know they did it for Hollywood recently, but hopefully they bring it to Orlando because I did watch the film again. I watched it when I was younger. I was like, ah, meh, um, because I didn't appreciate films the way I do now, and I've watched it as I got older. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I see why this movie is so well loved and considered one of the greatest horror films of all time and all that stuff. And it's grown since then where it's like, okay, this is one of my all-time favorite horror films. So I am excited about the possibility of more films, and I like what David Gordon Green did for the most part with the Halloween trilogy, and wasn't afraid to take some steps, and I think that's cool, man. So we'll see how that all turns out. Now there is another horror film releasing this year in October, as well on October 27th, 2023, and that is Saw 10. Also at CinemaCon, the logo for Saw 10 was debuted, and it's basically the same old Saw logo but with an X next to it because Saw X. It's Saw X. It's Fast X and Saw X. It's the year of the X's. Yikes. Um, but you know, we know Tobin Bell and Shawnee Smith are back. We don't. We know the film's supposed to be closer to the original flow of things with the Saw franchise. I'll see it. I'm interested in it. I mean, back to around their Halloween release schedule and all that. The Saw franchise. And if you have our Patreon that I mentioned earlier, I did a show called Nightmare on Review Street, and I did a season called Saw Games, where I went through the whole Saw franchise, including Spiral. And yeah, those films really took a turn, right? Because the first three I think are pretty solid. Then after that, it's kind of just, oh, let's see how gory and over the top and ridiculous we can get, and it kind of lost its story. So we'll see how Saw 10 turns out. I'm not gonna say I have high hopes for the film, but it is a horror movie franchise that's, it's a horror movie. I'm gonna see it. I mean, let's be honest. There's a horror film in theaters. I'm gonna see it, and it's a Saw film, so I kind of know what I'm getting into. I'm interested. I'm interested to see where they go from here. God, just imagine the Saw film. Saw franchise was supposed to be dead a while ago, and it's just continues to go on. And that's kind of the thing with horror films, right? A franchise will go on and on and on. Whether good or bad for the franchise. There's not many that's been, solid throughout. And, that's something we'll probably debate later. I mean, I know Mr. Wonderful said the Evil Dead franchise has had, a solid run. I will take his word for that. I have not seen everything Evil Dead. I mean, the Chucky franchise seems to have a pretty solid run. Child's Play 3 and, Seed of Chucky, take for what you will there. But it's a strong franchise, right? Halloween, give or take a couple films. Yeah, there's a lot of franchises, a lot of horror franchises, man. Yeah, take them for what they are, I guess. But I mean, of course, Chucky's my favorite, so I'm always gonna build Chucky up. um, but yeah, I mean, we'll see how Saw turns out. Not a bad thing that a horror film is in theaters. It's always good. Speaking of horror films returning, horror franchises returning, at CinemaCon, it was officially confirmed that the sixth Final Destination movie is officially in the works over at Warner Brothers with Spider-Man director John Watts on to produce the film. The last Final Destination movie looks like came out in 2011. Final Destination, I think I can throw in there with the Saw franchise. Started off well, right? Interesting idea, interesting concept, and then as the films went on, it's like, okay, how can we top ourselves? How can we take it more insane from here? I don't remember a lot of the Final Destination movies, and be honest with you. I I've seen them all. I think I owned one at one point. I think I owned the Final Destination, which was not the last Final Destination movie. Another one came out after it, and uh, I, I, it's another one of those franchises where you're like, okay, good on you. I mean, it's been a while. 2011. It's been over a decade. So, I mean, that Nightmare on Elm Street and both haven't seen much out of. We're finally getting something from Friday the 13th, which is good. Halloween is going to probably take a break for a while. Chucky's still going. We got season 3 shooting this summer for the Chucky show. And then, of course, we mentioned Saw is about to come out. We've got The Exorcist about to come out. Final Destination's happening. So, there's still some franchises out there in the horror genre that are still kicking out the jams. But, I mean, it depends on interest because, again, that they did the I Know What You Did last summer, right? And that didn't turn out too well. that did not turn out too well. Scream has done decent, right? So we'll wait and see, man. I don't know what the process is. I remember, talking about Final Destination a while back, and John Watts is a huge fan of the franchise, so maybe he'll bring something to it to give it that feel of the first film again. But again, I don't remember much from that franchise. I mean, I think if you grew up watching those movies, we all have that freaking second films burned in our head with the truck on the interstate and the trees and all that freaking falling out the back of the truck. Ugh. you know. By the way, I haven't seen one of those trucks in a long time. Um, but yeah, I mean that happens. Even if it's not that, like if it's a freaking pipes or anything like that, you're like, I don't want to be behind this, And I think that all kind of comes from Final Destination. The third film, I think, had the roller coaster, right? Was that the big one in the third film? um, which is, not necessarily outlandish. CGI wasn't the best, but it's not necessarily impossible, but is rare. I think I remember watching someone that said you're more likely to get attacked by a shark and you're more likely to be struck by lightning than to be involved in a roller coaster accident. Um, but I mean, it could happen. But who knows? No, but yeah, the CGI was not the best then. Um, I remember a bridge. Oh, the gymnast scene. Oh, there's a tanning scene. There's a laser eye scene. Yeah, Final Destination franchise get a little wild, But there's a sixth one coming. Let's see. Speaking of things that are happening, also revealed at CinemaCon. This is the best, I guess, reveal we've had for this in a while because it's at a official confirmation, I guess. Revealed during CinemaCon 2023 was the long-awaited sequel to Beetlejuice, being officially in development at Warner Brothers, with Michael Keaton expected to reprise the role. Now, this movie has been rumored for a hot damn time. Like, this has been a sequel rumor for a long, long time. I'm for it. I think the most recent rumor was Michael Keaton and Jenna Ortega, which, fine. I mean, I don't want to see anybody playing Beetlejuice other than Michael Keaton, so I'm hoping he's back for that, of course. Adding Jenna Ortega to the mix, she's a fantastic actress, this generation's scream queen. So if it happens, it's awesome. I enjoy the Beetlejuice franchise for what it is. I mean, we've had the one movie, the cartoon was fun. I love the house at Halloween Horror Nights, so I'm all for more Beetlejuice. I mean, it came out the year I was born, '88, right? So we got that connection to Beetlejuice as well. So, any positive news about a sequel is awesome, but at the same time, you're still kind of skeptical because of how long we've waited for it. The old boy cries wolf thing. Like, oh, there's a Beetlejuice sequel. Yeah, I've heard that one. I've heard that one several times. But if this was revealed during CinemaCon 2023, then it's the best, possibility, right? And that's coming from IGN, which is a reliable source. So we'll see. We'll have to wait and see on that one. Warner Brothers is hitting the nail pretty hard on the beloved properties, right? You got DC that they've got studios finally for. They're kicking out the jams of the Lord of the Rings, and you've got the Harry Potter show announced as well. So Beetlejuice, why not? Let's see. Characters getting R-rated films that used to be mostly known as kid content. We've got another one, an R-rated live-action animation hybrid series about Winnie the Pooh character Christopher Robin is in development. Christopher Robin is a disillusioned New Yorker navigating his quarter-life crisis with the help of the weird talking animals who live beyond a drug-induced portal outside his derelict apartment complex, the 100 Acres. End quotes. I have never watched Winnie the Pooh. Let's just go ahead and throw that out there. I've never watched Winnie the Pooh, but I know the characters, right? Um, this has been amazing to see. Ever since Winnie the Pooh entered public domain, the characters all except for Tigger. I think Tigger's the only one because it's a Disney creation. Um, they've just been making horror stuff out of Winnie the Pooh, like the Blood and Honey film happened, and I think they've announced a sequel for that as well. And I still haven't seen the movie, and I've heard mostly negative reviews about it. But I mean, what were you expecting? I still need to see it, of course, but I like this idea. I don't know what it is. Again, I love the horror genre, and it's just like, well, what would happen if these were horror films and somebody's out there making them into horror movies? More power to them, dude. Like, go ahead, man. Like, especially when you read about what the Disney stories were actually inspired by, like the actual original stories of like the Little Mermaid and all that stuff. You're like, oh, that's fucked, you know. So, and part of you's like, I want to see that movie, especially if you're a horror fan. You're like, yeah, I want to see that movie. So yeah, more power to them. An R-rated live action Winnie the Pooh, Christopher Robin drug induced thing that makes him talk to animals, why the hell not? I'll see it eventually. That'd be the first one of the Pooh stuff I've seen because I've never watched a cartoon of that. Let's see. Now on the Disney front, we move to the Haunted Mansion, much nicer thing than R-rated because it is being rated PG-13. We have the official rating for Haunted Mansion. The film is releasing July 28th of this year, a hot month after my birthday. It is rated PG-13 for some thematic elements and scary action. End quote. Thematic elements, video, theme park ride. Thematic elements. Again, this is a movie where I'm like, okay, we'll see what happens. I did like the trailer, but we'll have to see how things go. I love that ride. It's my favorite Disney ride. Um, Anytime I think of Disney, I think Haunted Mansion. So high hopes for it. That other movie is what it was. So we have to wait and see how this one turns out. But based on that trailer, there's some good possibility. There's some good possibility. All right, is that it for the horror news? All right, that's it for the horror news. So now we jump into the other realms with. Hang on. Actually, no, it's not. We got some thriller talk here. The trailer is out now for the latest Megan Fox film thriller, crime thriller called Johnny and Clyde, which is a new take on, you guessed it, Bonnie and Clyde. The film releases Friday, May 5th. The spin on the iconic Bonnie and Clyde story follows two serial killers who are madly in love and on a shocking crime spree. They ultimately set their sights on robbing a casino run by a crime boss who is played by Megan Fox and her head of security. Okay, so Megan Fox. Let's talk about Megan Fox for a moment. Now, I will say, when it comes to Megan Fox, that her work not the best. That's just my opinion. If you're a Megan Fox fan, awesome, proud of you. Um, Now, anytime Megan Fox comes up, Jennifer's Body is immediately the thought process. Like, yeah, that movie's good. She was good in that one. And, she did the other movie that I reviewed on the show that I'm escaping my name right now. The movie where she's handcuffed to her dead husband and all that. Not a bad movie. Um, so her being in the horror thriller genre probably fits her best, I guess. I'm not the biggest Megan Fox fan by any means. But like I said, she's you know circling around the horror genre now, so we're gonna run into her a lot, and it's gonna happen. Like I said, Jennifer's Body was good, and that other movie was good. So we'll give her some leadway here and there. I think they said she's playing like a Disney princess or something like that. I haven't seen the trailer. Bonnie and Clyde story has always been somewhat interesting or fascinating, right? Especially the real life true story. Now, of course, they're changing around to Johnny and Clyde. I don't know what the fuck that is, but good for them. I'm not gonna hate on it. I just don't know what it is. And it doesn't really let me know here. Just two serial killers played by a couple people here. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, but I mean, more power to them. I'm not gonna hate on it. Do what you gotta do to make a movie. But why not just make Bonnie and Clyde? But hey, you want to make Johnny and Clyde? Make Johnny and Clyde. Who cares? Hey, do your thing. This movie sounds ridiculous, but we'll see how it goes from there. Crime boss Megan Fox. We'll see how it all works out. All right, into the other section of news now. Jason Reitman, you love him. He brought the Ghostbusters back recently. Still working on bringing more Ghostbusters content. He is now also working on a project to tell the behind the scenes story based on the real life accounts of the opening night of Saturday Night Live, the premiere night of Saturday Night Live. The film will be set on October 11th, 1975, where a ferocious trope of young comedians and writers changed television forever. This is the true story of what happened the night behind the scenes in the moments leading up to the first SNL broadcast, retelling chaos and magic of a revolution that almost wasn't, counting down the minutes in real time to the infamous words, live from New York, it's Saturday night. Cool. Into it. I like Saturday Night Live. Saturday Night Live is a great show. I haven't watched it in a long time. I haven't watched it in a long time. But I did have the best, time of Saturday Night Live. I'm not going to lie. I had the Chris Farley years. You don't beat those years, man. Chris Farley, David Spade, freaking Adam Sandler, dude. Chris Rock. Oh, what a year. What a time. What a time. Saturday Night Live has always had some kind of awesome stuff going on there. And even though I haven't watched it in a while, I'm so glad it's still around and out there and working. And, that sounds like an interesting story, man, to see the chaos that happened in deleting that first episode. Man, I bet it was a madhouse trying to get that first episode out, and I can't wait to see that and see how it all turns out. Let's see, Mila Kunis has set the record straight about her MCU casting rumors that have been popping up all over the internet, saying that she was first going to be playing Sue Storm, and now that she would be playing the Lady Thing. Yeah. She said she's not in the film, but knows who is. So, these rumors started because she had dinner or lunch with the Fantastic Four director. Um, I like Mila like Mila Kunis a lot. I think she's great. Of course, That 70s Show is one of my all-time favorite shows because it's just fantastic. And she was great on it, and always kind of followed. Always, if there's something she's in, I'm like, cool, man, I like Mila. And you know, I don't know if she's in this movie or not. I mean, she could be throwing up a huge smoke screen right now saying she's not in it. You know, it goes back to like the DC stuff. Like, I don't know why people are so worried about casting. Like, just let it be announced. Like, why are we so worried about who is or isn't in the film? Like, I mean, I've been fantasy casting for Fantastic Four for how long now? I mean, back to John Krasinski and all that stuff. Emily Blunt, right? Um, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's fine to speculate and all that stuff, but it's like I don't know why it's a insane time that people have, trying to come up with, oh, this person's in the movie. Like, just wait for them to be announced, man. Just wait for them to be announced. Again, if Mila's in the movie, awesome. She's fantastic. Love her. But the fun part is that she knows who is in it. So maybe she is in the movie. Because why else would she know who's in it? But then again, she's friends with the director, so maybe she does know who. I don't know. I don't know. We'll get there when we get there. Let's see. Back to CinemaCon stuff. Aaron Tyler Johnson showed the first footage for the Craven the Hunter film, which was ultra-violent spree of blood and throbbing biceps, that pleased the annual convention of theater owners. The film is a Marvel movie grounded heavily in the real world. We know he is a fierce hunter, a highly trained killer. Fuck yeah, it will be rated R, end quotes. So there you go. It's being called the first Marvel film that's been rated R. I don't know how factual that is. What is Deadpool? Is Deadpool not a Marvel movie? Deadpool's a Sony movie, maybe? 20th Century Fox, right? Deadpool's 20th Century Fox, so I guess it doesn't count as a Marvel movie. I don't, whatever. Nonetheless, this Craven the Hunter movie is rated R. I don't know much about the character. Aaron Tyler Johnson seems to be a good actor, so I'll see it, obviously. But I don't know much about the character at all, which I like, man. I know. There's a lot of people like the comic fans get upset and mad about movies, but like, I don't know anything about these characters. I just go in there and watch the movie as you're supposed to. You're supposed to just go in and watch the movie. Like, you should know at this point that they will never follow the comic books 100%. Because what's the point? Like, why would you do that? You know, why would you do that? Like, you already know what's gonna happen, so why? But we're gonna make a movie out of it for you to know even more what's gonna happen. What's the fun in that? You know, what's the fun in that? So, we'll see how the movie turns out. It's rated R. It's bloody. Cool. All right, and the last bit of news here is a huge congratulations, a super congratulations, if you will, to the Super Mario Brothers movie, as it is the first film of 2023 to cross the 1 billion milestone at the global box office after just 26 days of release. It is only the fifth film since the pandemic times, as it's being called, to join the 1 billion club following Spider-Man No Way Home, Top Gun Maverick, Jurassic World Dominion. Jurassic World Dominion made $1 billion? Right on. Shocking, but right on. And Avatar: The Way of Water, being the films in the pandemic times that have hit 1 billion. Black Panther didn't hit 1 billion. Wakanda Forever didn't hit 1 billion. No, it did not. 859 million. Wow. That's surprising. But yeah, good for Super Mario Brothers, man. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie, dude. Thoroughly enjoyed that movie. So much so it could be my favorite film of the year so far. I don't know. It's a toss up, but what a film that was. I am so excited to see that movie again. Jurassic World Dominion made $1 billion? Really? Like, I can't get past that part. Like, that movie made $1 billion? Jurassic World Dominion. How much money did you make, dude? And I'm not against it. Like, I love the Jurassic, franchise, but I wasn't the hugest fan of that movie. It made just over $1 billion. 1.004 billion. Wow. Good on you, Jurassic World Dominion. And your locusts. But nonetheless, good for Super Mario Brothers, as I was saying, to lead to. Jurassic World Dominion has a 29% on Rotten Tomatoes. Holy hell. Now I'm just freaking lost right now. What was I talking about? Super Mario Brothers. What a movie. Good time. See it. If it's still in theaters, go check it out. It's worth your time and fun. But yeah, that's gonna do it for this show. That's gonna be it. News episode. Did not expect it to go this long, but hey, I got the gift of gab, baby, when it comes to news. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you had a good time with this episode. Hope you found the news fun. And yeah, no apologies. Hope you all have a wonderful time. And we'll talk next episode, of course. Be tuned into the Thrill Me Podcast Network with all kinds of fun stuff happening as well. We have the Thrill Me Federation with the Mayhem event happening this weekend, this Saturday. Check it out. I'll be defending my Thrill Me Podcast Network championship, as well as all other kind of goodies going on during that event, man. It's going to be a time and a fun time for you to join in. Throw Me Podcast Network on YouTube. Hit that like, subscribe, hit that notification bell to get notified of all the goodies we got for you, man. So many podcasts, so many fun times, so much awesomeness. And that, again, does it for this episode. Appreciate you all, as always, for taking the time to listen to me ramble on about movie stuff that I find interesting. You all saints. But thank you. Hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day, week, month, year. And as always, hope you remember that happiness can be found, even in the darkest of times, if one remembers to turn on the light. Talk to you all next episode.